What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Flagrant 2 and Snotty Drippin' collaborate here. This is our GOAT Talk. This is episode 2. We're here with a washed up member of NBA Twitter. You can meet him at Temecula, or you can meet him on the internet where he'll probably troll your ass. James, what's going on, bro? How are you doing?
What's up, man? And everyone make fun of him, boo him, because he didn't know about Temecula until I brought it up last time. He's been following me for like a long time, and he had no clue that I'm infamous for Temecula. So, which is almost a good thing, though. I'm good, bro.
Yeah, you're a good follow, and I wasn't in it for the fame. I'm in it for the NBA content. And
See, now everybody already knows you're lying because they know I'm not a good follow. So strike one already.
All right. So last week we started off this GOAT series with who's the best player in each franchise, and some of these are obvious, like obviously the Bulls and Jordan and shit, but some of these are really interesting, and there's not a good answer. So last week we did.
Can I put you on the spot real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to just real quick? I mean, we'd almost be irresponsible not to mention what's happening in the world right now.
Go ahead, man. You got the floor. How you feeling?
I'm going to keep it simple because I think even with everything going on in the world right now, it's very important. We learned this a few years ago with Ferguson and with everything going on right now, that there's nothing wrong with like a mental distraction, a mental break. You can care about basketball and sports and also care about the world around you. Those two things are not, one or the other. So there's nothing wrong with you guys listening to this podcast, and there's nothing wrong with recording this podcast, because we are inundated with bad news and terrible things on TV, and, people are unhappy. So the only thing I will say is Black Lives Matter, and there's nothing wrong with wanting the police to stop killing people unjustly, especially people of color, especially Black people. So we all know what's happening. Everyone take care of each other. Everybody take care of yourself. Self-care. Unplug every now and then and read a book, watch a TV show. There's nothing wrong with that, because you can't deal with the stress and the trauma that you see and read on social media 24/7 without it affecting you negatively. That being said, that's what we're doing in this show.
Yeah, we're here for distractions. Me and you connected because we share common interests. We love basketball.
No, because you stalked me online and then you begged me to come on. And I finally, nah, you're right. It's all about the NBA, man. We love basketball.
Yeah, and absolutely, man. We're all friends here. We're here to have friendly debate, like you said. Just a creative outlet, something to get your mind off the bullshit. Just to follow up what you said, man. It's not a race thing. It's not a it's a people thing. We got to be better as people. Like we gotta stand up for what's right. We treat people well, and good things will happen. If you're an asshole, bad things might happen, and we got to stick together. We're in a crazy time, and we just got to be better. We got to be understanding. We got to be sympathetic. And I stand with you. I stand with everybody who is hurting right now, who's feeling frustrated and feeling down. And we got to stick together and be better and do the best we can to just be positive and move forward and learn from our mistakes and be better.
That's it.
All right, so definitely important to bring that up. I thank you for bringing that up. And so last week we did the all-time best Charlotte Hornet, and we had like 450 something votes. You and I actually disagreed. You said Kemba was the best Hornet ever. I actually said it was LJ. A couple people said like Muggsy Bogues, but it was a good debate. So this week we're going with the Blazers. How do you feel about the Blazers? You fan of the team?
I'm glad you reminded me who I said last week, because the Hornets are such an irrelevant franchise. I forgot who I picked already. And let's be real. They just haven't been relevant in years. And, I mean, Michael Jordan's raising a loser over there. So, yeah, the Blazers are a little more interesting. I cut my teeth on the classic Bulls, MJ's Bulls, right? We all watched The Last Dance. They had a little blurb in their part where he showed him destroying Clyde Drexler's heart, The Blazers are all that team. They're, other than the Jailblazer period, we all remember that, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, when they just I don't know what happened with that team for that era. I love that team. A bunch of players that I think were all great, but somehow all together they just there was just like a lot of negativity around that team, and maybe poor leadership in the front office, whatever. Okay. But that team, other than that, that team, all the Blazers are that team that's so nice and like they're good and they're quality. But no one's ever been scared of the Blazers. You know what I mean? Good story, quality franchise from Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Buck Williams back in the day, Cliff Robinson.
Bill Walton.
Good, solid, upstanding guys. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like the Trailblazers were bad people. I'm just saying like you think of those players, you think, oh, he was good. He was a good player. You know what I mean? Clyde is actually, top 50. Clyde was really good, and I think just like people forget being destroyed by MJ, and that maybe the documentary kind of put him in a light where he's kind of Clyde was good. Clyde is like a top 5 all-time shooting guard. You can make that argument.
All fair.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that franchise, and even now, right? The Blazers keep making chicken salad out of chicken shit. They keep doing it because LaMarcus was there and they were good. He left. And they still kind of were good and missed playoffs a couple years or a year or two, whatever. But Dame is keeping them in it. Quality franchise. But who's scared of the Blazers? So I like the Blazers. Always a team that you can watch. I love Dame. Dame is awesome. And they got stars. Like you said, Clyde Drexler, amazing. They had back in the day, our boy Bill Walton. Sabonis was there. You know what I'm saying? All-time great who came to the NBA too late. LaMarcus has always been one of those quality, multiple-time all-stars that is going to get lost in the history because, he's LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, whatever. Dame, I think, is underrated always. So, I don't know. When I think about that team, I think of like a nice camping trip. Kumbaya, vanilla, safe, but overall, almost forgettable. And it's sad to say for a franchise. I love that. I love that team. The colors look good, but something about them just like doesn't really catch you.
They're like a hipster's favorite team. Like they're not gonna be winning titles, but they'll win like 46 games and like you'll go to some games and have fun. But they're not a dominant team. They only have one ring, which is with Luke Walton. We'll go through some of their draft picks because I think
shout out to my boy Dan Marang and TC Biggs. I'm gonna tag y'all in this too because those are my folks. They're bloggers and podcasters that cover the Blazers. Good stuff always, man.
Yeah, so
and Blazers Edge. Shout out Blazers Edge. Sorry if I'm not supposed to do that, but I had to.
Shout out Blazers Edge. So we obviously do this to talk about the GOAT best player on each team, but we've also been doing best and worst draft picks, which we'll get into. But like you said, man, like we should, and we'll also get into some of their what ifs, which there's so many of them. There's Odin, there's KD, there's Brandon Roy's injury. But let's get into what we came here for. So
let's talk about your faux pas real quick, because who was not included in your poll that should have been in your poll?
Brandon Roy.
How many Blazer Hail Marys are you going to say to make up for that? Because that's an offense right there.
Well, I did write in, and people rightfully have write in. By the way, shout out to all the people that have spammed the mentions with Bonzi Wells. A couple people.
Bonzi.
Shout out to 30 Steph Dirty and Kevin Draves. A couple people have wrote in Bonzi Wells, and Bonzi Wells was the shit. I love Bonzi Wells, but So
Bonzi was like one of the best post-up guards I've ever seen. I don't know if you remember that one year, especially that he had that playoff run where he was just dominating every guard that tried to guard him. He was fun to watch, man.
Yeah, he was undersized, right? He had a big back. Honestly, in today's NBA, he would be like the starting center for the Rockets and probably would be averaging 18 and 10.
I think he was the same size as PJ Tucker. Probably not as heavy, but he's like 6'5". He's stout. Right. Really stout dude. I met him back at the All-Star game in 2012 when it was in LA. And he came in late as hell to all the festivities, but like he had a smile on his face, bopped in, do like the little NBA not retired game, whatever. So that was cool.
Yeah, so let's get into the GOAT conversation. The three that we had in there, I didn't want to disrespect it. I didn't want to put a fourth name in there if it wasn't like an all-timer. Like I could have put in Terry Porter. I probably could have put in Aldridge. Obviously, much respect to Brandon Roy. We will get into Brandon Roy, one of my favorite players ever. But it kind of whittled down to Clyde Drexler, Bill Walton, and Dame Lillard. So where is your head at when you're thinking about this all-time Blazers conversation?
I'm thinking injury. That's nothing that comes to mind when I think about the Blazers. Terrible injury luck, all the way back to Sam Bowie, and then Bill Walton, and then Brandon Roy, which the reason I think Brandon Roy is not really in the running. How many years did Brandon Roy play for the
Brandon Roy. So I didn't put the number of years. I probably should look that up. But he
No,
was a
it's all
three.
good. If you got a chance to look it up right now, I'm gonna guess, and maybe as the show goes on, we have a chance to check it out. I'm gonna say he had 5 good years, like 5 great All-Star years, and then the injury started. I feel like maybe 4 or 5.
So
If it was more,
in his career, he played 6 years. 5 of them were with Portland.
and then I think one of those years was injury riddled, so probably like 4 good years, and they tried to come back. I think maybe.
Yeah. So 5 Portland seasons. He retired after 10-11, and then came back for 5 games for Minnesota, which I don't, and then retired for good. I didn't like that, but as is, man. You look at Brandon Roy's time there, 3-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, clutch playoff performer. Unfortunately, he was done by 28. But he had that. He had a great run, super clutch. I don't know
Was it microfracture surgery that got him? Yeah, microfracture on his knee, right? I think it was.
I don't know if you saw. There's an awesome quote by Kobe, and he was like, Brandon Roy is like the only player other than me that had no weaknesses on offense. Like I couldn't figure him out. He was a nightmare. And from Kobe, that means everything.
And that's what I think about Brandon Roy. Like, there's nothing he really couldn't do on the court. I remember he had pull-up jumpers. He could hit threes. He had a tight enough handle. He could run points sometimes. I remember him, he wasn't the biggest guy. I think maybe 6'5". Yep. But he had a strong body. I remember him posting up a little bit. I remember he had he was an explosive scorer. So Brandon Roy, man, without injuries, we're definitely talking about him in this vein. You know what I'm saying? I think he was almost a 25-point per game scorer in Portland. Yeah. So I think he was like one of those 25 5-5 guys. Basically, no weakness. I don't think he was a terrible defender. He wasn't great lockdown, but I remember him being capable. So that really sucks that injuries. And again, that's the story of the Blazers, man, and that's tough.
Yeah, Brandon Roy, definitely special shout out, honorable mention. His 5-year average as a Blazer was 19 points, 4.7 assists, 4.3 rebounds. He had 2 years in a row where he was 22.6 points and 21.5 points. So,
okay, but not quite as potent a score as I thought, but still, if you're doing 22, 5, and 5, you're like, that's one cut, like half step above the elite. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
And this is, obviously pre-low management, which I think he probably would have been on a Kawhi type of low management, because he was playing in those peak years. He was playing over 37 minutes a game for 3 straight seasons, and that it's insane. But yeah, look at like Iverson's minutes. Look at Kobe's minutes. Those guys were playing 41, 42 minutes a game. Like, it just wasn't something that these guys just went all out. Like, it was part of it. It was part of it.
And AI and Kobe were freaks. Freak of nature as far as endurance and body wise. Brandon Roy was again half step below. He just couldn't hold up to that load. And injuries are it's bad luck too. So yeah, man, we could play. That's a good what if, because Brandon Roy was legit great.
Yeah. So to me, obviously honorable mention Brandon Roy. But to me, it's very much a three-way race. I was gonna come in here and say it's got to be either Clyde or Dame Lillard, but if you look at Bill Walton, he only was there 4 years, but 2 All-Star teams. He won their only championship. He was the Finals MVP, and in that same season, 76-77, he was the Finals MVP, All-Star, rebound champion, block champion, and at Hall of Famer. And for his career, he's 17, 13 and a half, and 4.5 assists. So hard to argue.
What was his numbers in Portland? Do you have his numbers as a Blazer?
Yeah. His Blazers numbers were 17 points, 13.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists as a Blazer.
He's incredible. My thing with him is longevity, right? If we're talking greatest Blazer, like Clyde was there for how long?
So Clyde Drexler was there 12 years, 10-time All-Star, 5 All-NBA teams. He was right around
finals.
So they made 2 finals and
there you go.
Made 2 finals, and the one in between. So between 90 and 92, they made in 90, made in 92. 91, they took the Lakers to 6. So they almost made 3 straight finals. And his career average as a Blazer was right around 26 and 6. So, hey, and he's a Hall of Famer. And he got that ring with the Rockets, but hard to argue with that.
So, and that's where it's all about what you value, right? Because championships are a team game. And Bill Walton was incredible. He was the fulcrum of, a championship team, obviously. How many games a season did Bill Walton average? You know what I mean? Clyde I think he was kind of a workhorse. He put the minutes in. I don't remember him miss a lot of games as a Blazer. And again, MJ was so dynamic, we kind of downplay guys like Clyde. He wasn't MJ, obviously, but like any other team would be glad to have a Clyde Drexler to build around. And by all accounts, if you tell me if I'm wrong, he's known as a good guy, solid citizen, you know what I'm saying, good teammate. So
it's like you said, Clyde is obscured a little bit by the MJ thing, and people are just a prisoner of the moment. Like if we aired this the day after the doc, people will be like, Clyde was trash. But if we recorded this in 1991, when Jordan wasn't around, people will be like, Clyde's about to be a Hall of Famer, which he actually was. So, too much recency bias, but nevertheless, man, the final legitimate candidate, and I want to give a shout out, and we'll talk more about him later, but LaMarcus Aldridge, 9 years as a Blazer, 5 All-Star. Definitely have to mention him as an honorable mention. But it really comes down to the last one, Dame Lillard, including this year. Obviously, this year's not over, so he could win a championship. We don't know yet. 8 years, 5 All-Star games, 4 All-NBAs, Rookie of the Year, Western Conference Finals once, and 2 series-ending legendary shots against the Rockets and against OKC. Some people don't have signature moments. AI's got the step over. Jordan's got a million of them, but Dame does have some signature moments, and he loves being a Blazer. Like that definitely means something. So it's a tough one, man. I could definitely see us arguing who's the best Blazer here. But what are you thinking?
Quick question. Are you on Basketball Reference?
Yeah.
Can you look at Dame's last 4 seasons and tell me what his combined average was?
So including this year?
Including this year.
So it's crazy. I mean, 27 a game, 25.8, 28.9. So he's basically like 27 a game.
Yeah. And then maybe 7 assists, maybe 5 rebounds almost. Like
that's
I think
what it is. Yeah.
We're in the era of, we talk about LeBron, of course, Kevin Durant, and there's always a top 5 that they've never been considered a top 5 player. And I get it because it's been great players. We're in an age of almost unprecedented talent in the NBA. Dame is averaging, like you just said, in the last 4 or 5 years, almost 27, 28 points a game, 7, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. And he shoots like 8 threes a night at a good, 40%, 38%, 30, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is incredible. And every year, up until this season, they missed playoffs this year. Every year they predicted, this is the year Portland missed the playoffs. This is the year Portland missed the playoffs. And every year with him, CJ McCollum being back, being Robin, but Dame elevates his game and drags that team into the playoffs. Like that, to me, that means something. Sure, I don't think they've been contenders at all. We never know what would have happened if LaMarcus decided to stay. I guess I've heard rumors about, whatever, LaMarcus' ego and him and Dame, whatever. All right, whatever. But Dame got the signature shots. You just named his numbers. Clyde is great. Dame kind of dwarfs those numbers. And probably, I think he's been a workhorse too. We talk about like new load management. I'm pretty sure Dame is up there like every year. Even this season, probably 35, 36 a night.
He's actually leading the NBA right now, 36.9 minutes a game.
So, like, as much as I love Clyde was great. He has a little bit of longevity. How old is Dame right now?
He turned 30. Says he turns 30 July 15th, so he'll be 30 soon.
Dame probably has a good 3 or 4 more seasons of high-quality basketball before we start seeing a real decline. Like, Clyde is great. Clyde is Mr. Blazer to a lot of people. But let's be real. Dame is to me, if you're saying the best Blazer of all time, it's got to be Dame. Dame, and another thing is, like, we talk about what it means to a team. Dame has shown so much love to Portland. He always says, I'm not going anywhere. I want to be here. I would rather stay here and not win a championship than leave and get a championship. Clyde left to get a championship. Like, that has to factor into the equation, I love Clyde's game. It's weird that Portland Blazers have 2 guys as great as they were, who are just overshadowed because of their era. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think this is really similar to our Charlotte Hornets talk because our two biggest finalists are not only teams that haven't done too much in terms of championships. Obviously, the Blazers have one, Hornets don't have one, but we had a similar argument. Like, okay, Kemba is the current guy; he's not there anymore, obviously, versus the more established guy. I think the difference with this one is I said LJ before because I felt like he was a little bit more of like a 90s celebrity and he had the grandmama and he was like, he had the gold tooth. And like, I think he was a more like exciting Hornet. Whereas Drexler, like, I hate to say this because it's not a personal dig. A little bit boring to me. Like he had his 20 a game, but like, was he really like a signature Blazer? Like I know he's a Hall of Famer, but like you said, it means a lot. It means a lot that Dame outwardly says, I want to be a Blazer. I don't give a shit about the super team stuff. If you want to be a great player and you want to come here, then come play with me. He was recruiting Melo. I give that front office a lot of credit because they've definitely tried. Like they've made some moves. In my opinion, not great moves, but McCollum was definitely a steal. And Nurkic getting hurt, I think, was terrible for them. Cancer helped a little bit, but Zach Collins wasn't really ready. They maxed out. Like I think Western Conference Finals losing in 4 or 5. They probably should have won one game, but it's probably their max. But I came in here thinking maybe I would say Clyde, but I've got to agree with you, man, because and I want to give a shout out to someone on Twitter who made I don't want to paraphrase because the way he said it was perfect. He said, God damn, let me see. He says Clyde for right now, but give it another season and Dame will surpass him. Dame embraces the city more than Clyde ever did. Hell, Clyde barely acknowledges Portland, and they did him a favor by trading him to Houston. That was from shout out to Il Quinton who said that, and I agree. I think there are people who will say Clyde, but in 3 or 4 years, when the history books are really being written, and Dame has 2 or 3 more All Stars, the answer is Damian Lillard, and he's a proud Blazer. He's got the signature moment, so I'm also going Dame Lillard.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more of an age thing too, right? Like the older folks who maybe saw Clyde when they were in their 20s, 30s, going, "Oh, he's the greatest," and Dame is close. But then younger people are gonna look at the numbers, say, "Okay, see highlights. Clyde doing the same 4 dunks over and over again," and then they'll, Dame, he does the mixtapes. He represents Oakland. He seems really authentic, and like the younger crowd, I'm always shocked Dame is not a bigger star. You know what I'm saying? Because he seems like he represents so much of what, what I'm saying, just, I don't know. It's weird to me, and I feel like he's always been kind of overlooked. You know what I mean? He missed a couple All-Star games where his numbers were insane, but he didn't make the All-Star game. But there's other great players. I get it. So, yeah, Clyde, I love you. You could be, number 2, like you've been most of your career, and Dame takes the crown.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I agree. I don't know why he's not. He should be like, because my argument that I was going to make is, well, maybe it's because he's on a small market team. But then you look at someone like Russ for the last 5-6 years, and
exactly.
In today's NBA with the internet, with social media, you could be playing in Alaska. Like if there's the Alaska Ballers and you're averaging 20 a game, like people will find you. People are going to find you on League Pass. They're going to follow you on Instagram. Like, I think to answer your question, James, I think some of it is that he's so low key. I think that's part of it. Like he does get commercials. He does have his own shoes, but I think maybe because he's so low key, like he's not a LeBron. LeBron's like on Instagram live, like, fight the power. Like, he's very vocal. Whereas I feel like Dame is a little bit more low key. You know what I mean?
Dame is on Instagram weekly doing like hip hop battles and like letting people come freestyle. Like, you know what I'm saying? He does his was it 8-bar Mondays or whatever it is? And I don't even, it's a crazy thing. You know what I'm saying? 4-bar Friday, yeah. Like he's been.
Like his demeanor is low key.
He had a whole giant rap battle with like any like what's my man's name in Sacramento?
Oh, Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, they was going back and forth. Like it's so wild to me that, and I think a lot of people, it's weird how fandom comes into play because Dame never disrespects Steph or Russ, but I've heard Warrior fans like, oh, well, he's not Steph. Steph is I think Warrior fans are kind of a weird bunch where they've been great, but they want everybody to know how great they are. And then Russ stands were Russ stand. I was a Russ stand too. And I myself was like, Dame is right there with him for most of the time, and now Dame is better than him. So maybe you're right. Just like the kind of smooth, he seemed like a real low key, doesn't seem to get upset even when he's balling. You know, the same stone face kind of. You know, the wave. You know, like he's just kind of a low key dude, but like the moments, the numbers, the logo shots. You know,
He lets his
logo.
play do the talking. He lets his play do the talking.
And that you would think that it'd be more. I don't know. It's weird. Got his shoes. You know what I mean? Signature shoes that you never hear my saying. Oh, those Dame are fire.
Yeah.
If I wish he went with Nike, honestly.
You know, I think every argument is the right argument, and I think the answer is that we don't have a good answer. Like some people just aren't, you know, like there are just certain stars that maybe get overlooked. Like I'm trying to think of another good example, but it's not fair to him. It's really not, like you said. There were those years where he was getting snubbed for the All-Star game. Like Bradley Beal averaged 30 a game this year, and he didn't make the All-Star team. Like certain guys just get snubbed every year, and whatever. Dame deserves the world. He has all the money in the world. He's got a family. You're not going to see him at the clubs like making it rain. He doesn't do ignorant shit. You know what I mean? I think he's just a stand-up guy, man. I really respect Dame. He went to a small school, Ogden, Utah. Went to
you go to Weaver State.
Weaver State. Yeah. Got his jersey retired.
I like rappers. I like ball players who do ignorant shit because they're having fun. The multimillionaire young men have fun with it. As long as they don't break any laws, as long as they don't hurt anybody, I like to see that. So I wish Dame would do a little more quote unquote ignorant shit, which is just young guys having fun. I don't mind it.
Yeah, maybe he feels like I don't know. Maybe it's just not his demeanor. It's not his style.
It's not. I wish he got. You know what, Dame? He's a real loyal dude. We all know that. I wish he got a better PR team, and I wish he didn't go with Adidas and he was with Nike instead. Nike would make him a like giant national star. You know they would.
So here's an interesting point to your Nike comment. So we have guys like Dame who don't get enough credit, and I think then there are guys that get elevated because they've got a cool brand. Like in my opinion, and maybe you share this opinion, maybe you don't. I think Kyrie is more famous than him because Kyrie's got cool merch and kids love Kyrie. I have a pair of Kyrie's. Like his merch is dope. But I don't think he's a better player than Dame. He's not. He shouldn't be more popular than Dame is. But I think he might.
I had this argument when Kyrie was in Boston, and of course, you know, Celtics fans are really. And Kyrie was great. I even said at the time, this team before the season even fell apart with Boston, I said, yeah, Dame is a better leader than Kyrie. This team will be better with Dame than with Kyrie. And I think Dame has even further distanced himself like the last couple seasons with, you know, the durability and the leadership he showed. So I'm absolutely with you. But Kyrie makes the highlights. Kyrie makes the highlights with the dribble, and his game has pizzazz, and then the whole personality, the kooky kind of out there yoga thing. It's true. And guess what? He's a Nike athlete, and his shoes,
they're fire.
I don't know. They're pretty fire, and like it matters. It matters. His brand is like bigger and more loud.
Here's a perfect example. I didn't check Twitter, but this proves my point. I just went on Kyrie and Dame's Instagram. Dame has 7.7 million Instagram followers. Kyrie has 14. That's almost double. That should not be the case. It shouldn't. But
and I bet Kyrie just posts like weird memes and, you know, third eye pyramid stuff. And Dame's actually engaging with fans, rapping, having fun. Whatever. Dame's my guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I say right now, hey, Steph is obviously also going to be the number one point guard until, you know, even with the injuries, I guess you would say not. I think Dame was the best point guard in the league last year. I don't count James Harden as a point guard.
Yeah, he's more of a two guard. So it's pretty simple. We're not arguing on this one, unfortunately. We're both saying Dame. But something we also like to do is talk about shitty draft picks. And I don't know if you got a chance to look over some of these, but there's some tough ones in there.
I'll admit I did almost zero prep for this show.
Right,
I looked at the rundown like 10 minutes before you sent it to me. What can I say? I'm a bad content maker. What do you want me to do?
Well, that's what I'm here for, to do the pre-production and do the research. And research is me just looking at Basketball Reference for 13 seconds. So I'm not going to go into all of them, but you said you were like, there were a couple years where they're kind of shitty. And to be honest, a lot of it you could trickle down to just bad draft picks. Like I'm not going to name all of them, but from 97 all the way through 2014, there were just some bad draft picks. Like, I'll sprinkle in some good and some bad. So 2001, Zach Randolph, 19, that's good, obviously. But like, there's like a trickle, 04, 05, 06, 07, all just like 04, Sebastian Telfair, 13, not going to get it done. 05, they traded down from 3 where they could have taken Chris Paul, and they took Martell Webster at 6, the final year where you could take high schoolers. Not good. 07, obviously Odin. I'll give him credit though. 06, they traded the Bulls traded a second round pick and LaMarcus Aldridge to the Blazers for the number 4 pick, which turned out to be Tyrese Thomas. So that was a great trade.
And it comes down to bad luck, right? Because that Odin pick's not even. So I was straight KD over Odin easily because I don't know, that's just me. But people say Odin was a legendary defender. It could have been all-timer. You draft a guy with one leg longer than the other who had already had injury issues. Did he have hip surgery prior, like in like middle school or something? Either way, yeah, just the bad luck of the big man there. So
yeah, so that's definitely it. 2012 took Dame 6. 2013 took CJ McCollum 10. Those are obviously great, but I think the important thing when we're talking about the Blazers kind of story, it's really trickles down to like 3 or 4 things, and like you said, it's all riddled in bad luck. It's Greg Oden over KD. It's Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. It's
moving the pick that could have been Chris Paul. That's nuts.
Taking Oden over KD. Brandon Roy getting hurt. LaMarcus Aldridge leaving. So, but then like there's little things like trickle down effects. Like, well, maybe you wouldn't have had the pick to get Dame Lillard. Like, there's little things, but man, I mean, missing out on Jordan and KD, it's like, it's just, it's devastating for it to happen once in a generation. For it to happen twice is unheard of.
How much did they pay your boy? What's the shooter's name? They gave him a giant contract and he ended up going to Jersey.
Blazers? You talking about Drazen Petrovic?
No, just a couple years ago.
Travis Outlaw?
Nope. Come on, he's a really good 3-point shooter, and that's all he did. Allen Crabbe.
Wow, he had a horrific contract. I do remember that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the kind of moves that have to work out, and they don't work out for the Blazers. You know what I mean?
His I gotta look up his contract because it's crazy. Well, maybe not super.
No, it was bad at the time. Yeah, they got him with the poison pill, right? I think somebody else offered him, extended him. Yeah, they got him in restricted free agency. Somebody else like, all right, match this, and they matched it.
Take a guess. It was 4 years. Guess the amount.
Was it like something like?
Keep in mind this is 2016, so it's not like.
No, it was like 8. Like I think it was like 4 years, like maybe almost 76 million or something like that, right?
75.
Yeah.
Allen Crabbe, man, wow.
And I mean, if you're paying Allen Crabbe $9 million a year, you're happy because he could shoot, space the floor. But for that money, nah, you gotta let him go, bro.
Not $19 million a year. So yeah, it's good you bring that up because I was looking at like their current cap table. Shout out to Spot Track. I use it all the time. They've got good figures. Like they'll show you exactly when their contract is up, if they've got any restricted free agency, if they've got anything like that. And they've got some really interesting contracts. Obviously, Dame is at 4 years, 196, which it's tough, but he's a smart one. You got to do.
So Dame's at 4, 196.
Yep.
That's what he has left on his extension. Or is that before his extension kicks in?
I believe that this expires 2025, so I believe it's kicking in either this year or next year.
Yep.
And he was on a 5 years, 139, so he's good. He's set for life. So shout out to Dame. CJ is on a 4-year, 106.6, which expires in 2021. It's not terrible, but it's a lot of money.
I mean, if they're going to keep him, he's going to get paid, right? And they want to keep him, and they have some decisions to make, really.
You say they got decisions to make. I'm looking at their highest paid dudes. Man, Hassan Whiteside, 4 years, 98. That is just atrocious.
Wait, I mean, I think he only has 1 year left, right?
This is the final year.
Okay.
This is the final year, making 27 this year. So good riddance, Hassan Whiteside. I mean, Miami let him go. They plugged Bam Adebayo in, and no Miami fan is thinking about Hassan Whiteside.
My thing is like Myers. I'd rather have Myers Leonard
100%.
and what's the other guy's name? The young guy you said not ready.
Zach Collins.
I'd much rather give them all of Hassan Whiteside's minutes and then use that money, allocate them. I know they were probably already near the cap anyway, so they went over the cap, whatever. I know they had a huge bill this year. But I'd rather do anything than have Hassan Whiteside.
I would even I know he's not great at defense, but I really liked what Enes Kanter brought to that team. He brought some toughness. Say what you want. I'm a Knicks fan. I followed Kanter a little bit. He does get offensive rebounds. Like he'll get you like a 12 points, 18 rebound game. Like pretty like he's not afraid. Like he will bang down low. He will get rebounds. He'll get elbowed in the face. Like he plays hard. He doesn't play defense.
Let's talk about this. Real quick question.
Yeah.
What was the Blazers' defensive rating this season?
What would I just do? NBA team.
If you go over to
defense ratings.
Basketball Reference and just look at the top somewhere, it should have the offense defense rating. The point I'm making is like I get it because you're right. Kanter is a terrible defender. He's in Boston. I'm like you. He has a very specific niche he can fill, and if you're paying him a little bit of money, you're fine. Run him out there against certain matchups. He's going to be great for you for short spurts. While Hassan Whiteside is just a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather pay Kanter $6 million a year, $5 million a year than pay Hassan Whiteside anything.
Because at least, like, not for nothing, bro. Like, not for nothing. I at least know Enes Kanter's gonna show up and he's gonna give a shit. Like, I've heard not that I'm a connected fucking insider or anything like that, but you always read online. People are like, Hassan Whiteside doesn't give a shit about basketball. Like, we don't know if he's ever gonna show up. He's just playing now that he got the bag. Like, he doesn't give a shit anymore. Like, I'm not giving that guy $98 million. No fucking way.
Yeah, he pouts. He doesn't get the ball a little bit. He'll stop playing defense and stop rim running. So Kanter's issue is, though, his is flawed. Halfway through the season, I notice this every year. Teams get the film on Kanter, and once they scheme him off the court, he's done. He was great for Boston early on. There were a couple of injuries. He was unplayable before the season shut down. Literally to the point, the minute he got on the court, all they did was they just put him in pick and roll, get a switch, attack him. That's all they did. And yeah. So I get it. Kanter has his flaws. I'd still rather have him than Hassan Whiteside.
So I looked up the defensive numbers, and it has general team defense, NBA.com, defensive rating. They've got the Blazers at 27 out of 30, so they're fourth to last.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever Hassan you think people – and it was funny, I think, like me and you, we watch a lot of basketball. I think we have a couple brain cells in our head. The casual fan will see Hassan Whiteside gets rebounds and blocks, and I think I heard like Mark Jackson, oh, this guy is the anchor of that defense. He's a terrible defender. He chases blocks. He's slow to rotate, and he's like almost a selfish defender. He wants blocks and rebounds. So, yeah, keep Hassan White. There was a time when people was like, oh, Boston needs Hassan Whiteside, and I was like, you keep him away from my damn team.
So this is probably unfair, but do we think that Greg Oden was a worse draft pick than Sam Bowie, or is it just you just have to say Sam Bowie because you missed out on Jordan? But also that's also unfair because they had Clyde Drexler, who we mentioned a lot in this pod, but Clyde Drexler is also not for nothing a Hall of Famer, and they had a small forward already, so you can't be super mad about that, you know?
Who's the small forward?
Clyde Drexler. Well, he was playing
Yeah, then you put MJ. Look, you can never have too many wings. I think in the NBA, we know better now than any time. You can't have too many wings. And Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler together have been incredible. So you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's still Michael Jordan. So I will say this, though. I have a hard time. I feel what you're saying, but again, injury, it's hard for me to knock guys because of injury. So, like, Sam Bowie would have been really good. I think his numbers were okay. I think he would have been a good player. He's always hurt. You know what I mean? So that's just bad luck. So in hindsight, it's easy to say Sam Bowie, Greg Oden, but I mean, I might have to go with like Martell Webster at number 5, bro. Martell Webster never turned into anything. You know?
it's so funny to hear you say that. Let's see, what year was that? I think it's also it's important. It's less about Martell Webster. It's more about the situation. The fact that you had number 3, you traded back, you didn't take Chris Paul when I'm pretty sure that whole era, like this was post Damon Stoudemire, this is pre Dame. I don't even know who was playing point guard in 2004, 2005, 2006. It couldn't have been anybody good. Like maybe Jarrett Jack. Like honestly, I can't think of like why would you not take Chris Paul? Like
Where did Deron Williams go in that draft?
So I believe Deron Williams. Okay, I'm looking at it. Deron Williams went 3. Chris Paul went 4. Felton
So there
5,
you go. You missed on Deron Williams and Chris Paul.
and
You know
Raymond
what I'm saying?
Felton. And Raymond Felton, who isn't great but had a solid career.
No, hold up. Let's back off. Felton, yeah, let's keep on moving for that. We're not gonna throw his name in.
I actually have a funny story about Martell Webster.
Raymond Felton ended up looking like a basketball playing pork chop. We got to keep his name out of it. He was like a pork loin running up on the court for OKC, man. He was one of the funniest players. And like you said, he had games. He was a good backup.
Yeah.
A little bit, sort of. Wow.
You know, shout out to Martell Webster. I was at my buddy runs a charity event, called he's part of a charity thing called Full Court Peace, where they go to different areas and different countries and try to build basketball courts, build basketball camps. And it was just me and some of my high school friends. And this is maybe 2010, 2011. So still in the NBA, or maybe it was closer to 14, 15. And who do I see but Martell Webster? Martell Webster is at this charity event. I shoot the shit with him. And he was like, I was like, bro, how's it going? Whatever. He was telling me a story. He was in Washington. And he's like, bro, like, only my agent knows this, but I'm actually going to retire after this year. Like, I made my money. I'm 28 years old. And sure enough, he did. So shout out to Martell Webster. He made like 30, 40 million, played from 05 to 15. That's a 9-10 years worth of contracts, but he was a good dude. So shout out to Martell Webster.
All right.
Very random, right? You didn't see that coming.
You had a scoop and you didn't tell anybody. So good for you.
You know, I'm not gonna clown my boy Martell like that. You know, if he wants to retire at 28, you know, do your thing, bro. So we do have some writing questions. You threw out something on Twitter, by the way, at Snotty Drippin, and you threw out if
Snotty Drippin, the great Scottie Pippen did play for the Jailblazers. Scotty was the man until he got to Portland, and he was still good, but then the back and just wasn't that potent. It happens.
He got his money though. He got his money there.
I'm not mad at him, not one bit. So
you asked, is there any NBA related questions? We got somebody, Rudy, NBA_Rudy, is a Grizzlies fan. He says, is there any Grizzlies-centric reason people are advocating for a play-in tournament? Some Memphis fans are acting like the NBA wants Zion versus LeBron in round 1 more than they want safety. Can Memphis steal a game versus the Lakers?
They absolutely want Zion. They absolutely want Zion. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Zion is set up both talent-wise because of his own working game and by the front office. They want him to be the face of the NBA. The kid's great. He has a great smile, magnetic personality.
Humble.
Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like he's a humble, regular kid. So they want him to be the face. So the NBA definitely wants it. They would love to have the marketing of LeBron versus Zion. You know, the Prince and the King. They probably come up with all kind of, can he take the crown? You know, but then when they get on the court, and the Pelicans are actually good. Pelicans, I think they have a quality young team on the rise, kind of, you know. But
good management.
Good management doing the best they can. I think it kind of remains to be seen. I say if you have good management, you manage to keep a guy like Anthony Davis. But whatever, we'll see. Even though they just they made some changes in the front office, so cool. But it comes down to LeBron James in the playoffs versus a young team. Anthony Davis against a team that he used to play for. I think we see a bloodletting. I doubt they let them win one game. Yeah. Especially now coming off, they're all rested. They've been sitting for 3 months. LeBron's working, keeping his body tight and together. I love Zion and that team. I'm not the biggest Brandon Ingram fan. Great talent. We'll see what he does on the big stage. But so yeah, I don't think they steal a game.
Yeah, to answer this dude's question about the Grizzlies and the NBA wanting Zion instead. 100%. 100% the NBA wants Zion instead. I used to work for the NBA, and I had a guy who worked in production who had like those big cameras, like the massive cameras that you have to get a truck for. And he was saying that it was tough for them, like the crew, that like Memphis was a tough spot for them because there wasn't a ton of like hotel accommodations, whereas like New York, LA, there's a ton of those.
Yeah.
Memphis is not a great. They don't do well ratings wise. It's not a great draw. It's not a sexy draw. I think people love John Morant. I love John Morant. I wish he was a Knick. It makes me sick every day. I don't think Memphis would get a game off them. I also think they had a super underrated injury with Jaren Jackson Jr. I thought he was playing awesome before he got hurt. I think if he's healthy, maybe they make it competitive, but I'm not positive they would. I don't think they would even get a game. I think the Pelicans could maybe steal a game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did he ask if Memphis could steal a game?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
The answer is basically the same. I think, like you just said. Nah, yeah, they're so young. Jaren's awesome. The only thing is, like we've seen, the Lakers' point guard defense isn't great. So they just build a wall, make our boy Morant shoot, but with a healthy JJ Jr., Jaren Jackson Jr. You want to say they could maybe steal one just off youth and exuberance, right?
Maybe if they had a home game, but they're not even going to get that. That's a problem. Yeah. Remember last year in the playoffs, like the Magic won that one random game in the playoffs? Like that's not happening. Well, actually, ironically, they're in Orlando, but yeah, I don't see Memphis taking a game. Do you want to move on to this other mailbag question?
Hey, who asked that question? Oh, my boy, NBA_Rudy?
NBA_Rudy, yeah.
All right.
He's a Grizzlies dude.
Just want to give him a shout out. All right, so yeah, I like where Memphis is going though. So good question.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. Zach at off the glass says, in the wake of the Knicks organization's comments, what should the players do, if anything?
Yeah, so if people don't know, basically, I think Dolan came out and basically said no comment. Am I right? He just basically said, I'm not going to comment on this. I'll leave it to more knowledgeable people. And reports are that the players are unhappy with the franchise for not coming out with a statement. Like, the Wizards came out and had a very unequivocal supportive statement of Black Lives Matter. A lot of franchises of varying degrees of either very vague and tepid responses or very pointed. Cool. And according to some reports, Knicks players are upset that the franchise hasn't come out. So the question is, I just want to give a little backstory. So what's this question again?
He basically asked, in the wake of the Knicks organization's comments, or really lack thereof, what should the players do, if anything? Like, how should Knicks fans feel about Dolan basically being like, I don't want to talk. It's kind of like when LeBron didn't want to talk about China because he knew it would fuck up the bag. He's outspoken about a lot of things, but he was not outspoken about that, and that rubbed some people the wrong way. I know this is different, but I could see why Dolan punted on that one.
So I mean, I can't see why you punt on something like this, because I know there's two sides to most situations, but then sometimes there's two sides of right and wrong. And this one, you could be on the side of right or just not on the side of right. And sometimes being silent is being complicit. That's a lot of people view it that way. So I think the players have every right to be mad with a team that's, mostly African-American, most Black American, and they want their voices to be heard. They want their franchise to have their back. And I think this is indicative of a larger symptom. The Knicks have been a train wreck for almost 20 years with a little blip of the Melo time. They had a couple playoff runs with Melo, cool. But for the most part, they've been a train wreck. They've been ran poorly. Players, they're on the house with Charles Oakley. You don't hear a lot about Patrick Ewing. Even their legendary players don't really represent, it seems like, other than Walt Clyde Frazier. And it all starts with ownership. And I don't know what it's going to take. Dolan's not going to sell because it's making money hand over fist even while they're losing. So it's not even him meddling. It's just the fact that it's inept and it's poor leadership. So it starts at the top. They can shuffle the front office all they want to. They can bring in whatever coach they want to. It starts at the top. And until they find, I don't know, either he just becomes a handoff. You don't see him kind of owner, and he lets his front office do their thing until they become like a team like that. Because that's just you're in New York, man. You have a huge fan base, and I get it. You want to try to appease everybody, but sometimes some things are right, sometimes they're wrong. And I think the players are right to feel that their owner is not representing them correctly. So I don't know what they can do. They weren't going to make the playoffs, so they can't boycott. They can't sit games out. But yeah, it's the roster's a mess. Their draft picks are a mess. They don't have they're going to have cap space again, but who cares? What free agent's going to want to come there if they don't feel like they're being represented by their ownership? What big name free agent? They're tripping over their own feet here. So I actually feel bad, Knicks fans. If any listening, I want to say I feel bad for you. You're a rival to the Celtics, and for a long time it's been back and forth. But now it's not back and forth. I feel bad because your team has just continuously been a joke, and it starts with James Dolan. So yeah.
I agree. KD said that the Knicks aren't cool, and that's a crushing blow because the kids who buy merch and just anybody, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, unless you're 68 years old and you watch Clyde and Dave DeBusschere and Earl the Pearl and Willis Reed, you've never seen anything good. Like my first good Knick memory was the '99 Finals run where there was a seed,
Allen
Houston, Spreewell. Ewing was banged up, but LJ had the 4-point play. They made the finals as an A seed. It was electric. Like you said, 2013 they had the Eastern Conference semis. They lost in 6 to the Pacers, which is really the last good thing that happened. And maybe we'll do a Knicks GOAT bracket, and that might be the shortest pod we ever have because it's just there's not a lot of good to talk about. But yeah, the Knicks are not going to be good or relevant until they clean it up and they have respectable management, which they really don't have. I think Leon Rose has respect as an influencer in his industry, which maybe
so did Phil Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing in New York? You know what I mean?
I agree. So let's wrap it up with the Blazers though. That's what we came here for, and let's put it here. We kind of touched on it, but we touched on their best player, their best and worst draft picks. Where do you see the Blazers? Like, do you think as they're constructed now, do you think they need to blow it up? Would you keep Dame? Would you trade CJ? Like, where do you see this team like right now?
Again, it's bad luck, right? Because I think we talked about this a little bit when Nurkic got injured. They seemed like they were set pretty well. They had an all-star, almost all-star in CJ, and then like a really dependable kind of high-quality big man to play defense a little bit and could score. And Nurk going out just threw a monkey wrench in it. Injuries again. The Dame and CJ combination is fun. I think long-term, if those are your two best players, it's not going to get it done. They need somebody like more. Obviously, we see the makeup of a championship team normally is like 2 high-level all-stars with one of them being like a top 10 type player and then like a third guy who's like a borderline all-star / all-star. So right now, you got Dame, I think is top 10 or close to it. And then you got CJ, who's really good, but he's undersized. Him and Dame kind of do a lot of the same things. CJ's probably, I get it. They're different, but they work well. They like each other, seems like. But I don't think you're winning with those two long term. I would have tried to flip CJ a couple years ago, get somebody a little bigger, and somebody a little more 3-and-D. I don't know who. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know. In a package for Paul George when he was available. I don't know. I don't think they have the draft capital for that, but whatever. But yeah, I think they probably need to shake up there. I think we saw this year that they've been spinning those plates and keeping it going, and now they're starting to drop plates. And there's not a lot of cap space. There's not a lot of young talent at rosters coming up. They're almost back into a corner, right, where you're paying Dame and CJ, and then you got a lot of scraps all around them. So yeah, they're probably going to need to make some kind of move and get some fresh talent in there, and maybe try to get some cap space to get somebody else in there, because I don't think this is the team that's going to go really far next year.
I agree. Like I said a little bit ago, I do think that they maxed out exactly where they ended last year. Like, they made the Western Conference Finals. That's probably further than a lot of us would have thought. I found I was a little disappointed that they didn't even get a game off the Warriors, especially because they were hurt. But Warriors are just a better team, man. Like, they couldn't. I think I could be wrong, but the Blazers had leads in every one of those games, or most of those games, and might even been double digits in most of those games, and just they couldn't they couldn't close it out. I don't think that this backcourt can do more than they've already done. Like, will they make the playoffs? A couple more years, yeah, 100%. But unless you get like a Brad Beal or a Paul George or like, maybe a really nice young big man, but even then, man, I just their cap is a little dicey. I know Hassan's gonna be off the books, but you're paying Dame and CJ close to 330 million, so something crazy like that. I mean, unless that's Jordan and Pippen, I don't know. And those guys are not walking through that door. So I do want to say before we wrap up, we did have I wanted to mention the poll results. 356 votes. I mean, we only posted this about 2.5 hours ago, but interestingly, the people said Clyde Drexler, 44%, Dame 34%.
That's what what the people have spoken. I disagree, but I can't argue with it. Clyde's awesome. Him and his George Jefferson haircut, whatever.
Yeah, no, there was a couple more comments. Shout out to Big Zerb. He said Clyde got the skills and the tenure. I can't disagree with that. There was another guy who he's definitely a Blazers fan. Kevin Draves and Bonzi Wells. I see rules said Terry Porter. Again, I mean, I can't argue with Terry Porter.
I can't. Come on, man. Terry Porter was a nice little player, but that's like trying to say, yeah, Ron Harper was the best Bull. Come on, man. Come on, Ron.
I respect that he likes Terry Porter. I don't know.
I respect you. Like, who said that one?
That was, man. We got some mentions on this one. It's taking me a second.
Well, either way, whoever it was, Terry Porter. I love little Terry Porter. Nice little guard, but come on, man. Hey, look at my face.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah. So the one I was looking for was this dude's name on here is Peak Rubio, which I appreciate. Aviator in Flight. He said 1 Clyde, 2 Bill Walton, 3 Dame Lillard, honorable mention Rashid and Brandon Roy. It's a respectable list for sure.
Love Sheed, man. Love Sheed there. I don't think he has longevity. How long was he there?
5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because the jail Blazer period was such a fascinating thing, and it was just, again, bad luck. It seemed like things kept happening. I always remember that picture of them at Christmas somewhere doing a public affairs thing where they had the Santa hats on, but they were looking so disinterested, and Sheed and Pippen were over there just talking and laughing and, like, didn't give a damn about whatever they were doing. Just such an odd time in Blazer history, but Sheed is still the man. I always love Sheed. Glad he got his ring in Detroit. Yeah.
The other honorable mentions, shout out to King with 2 eyes. He said Cliff Robinson or Arvydas Sabonis. Arvydas Sabonis could ball. All jokes aside, I loved watching Arvydas. He came over a little bit too late, but he could ball. Knees
are already shot. Wasn't as mobile as he was as a youngster, but they say he was the truth in Europe. So, yep.
I mean, look, he played he actually played 7 NBA seasons and 12-7. He's a guy you'd like to have. He's somehow an NBA Hall of Famer. I guess it's pretty easy to make the NBA Hall of Fame, but
don't forget, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame, it's the basketball. So yeah, he got it for his international stuff more than anything else.
Is there anybody else that we're leaving out? I mean, Terry Porter, I know you were kind of joking, but he's definitely, like, if somebody's making an all-time team, he's on the all-time team, but he's definitely not an all-time. He's
not even on the all-time team. Dame at point guard, Clyde at 2.
I meant if you're making like a top 10 all-time Blazers, probably
right.
On. Sheed was on the Blazers for 8 years, and he made 2 All-Star teams, but he really didn't make his like real true mark until. Here's a crazy question, and I probably know the answer to this. Are Rashid or Ben Wallace, are either of them Hall of Famers?
Ben Wallace should be, hands down. Ben Wallace anchored a historic defense and helped dethrone a historic team. And it's true, man. Even as I say this, I recognize defense is half the game. And, like, we don't have any defensive superstars. Even our defensive superstars are also known for scoring. Ben Wallace was what you call a defensive superstar. He'd give you 8 points and 11 rebounds, but he would control the game defensively. And like that's one of those things you can't really quantify unless you see it, right? You watch a guy just like throttle the other team. So I think Ben, he has a ring,
Yep.
rebound titles, a couple, like 3 or 4 defensive player of the years.
Yep.
So yeah, so I think he's definitely a Hall of Fame. He got a little longevity. He did it for probably did 7, 8. Well, that's what people want to get him. They're going to ding him for longevity.
Yeah.
I think he only really, he was a 4-year college guy, I think, or he went undrafted, whatever. And
Virginia Union, which is I don't even know how he made the NBA, but I mean, shout out to him.
Hey, I think they just kind of he was undrafted. I think Orlando just signed him, and he just was kind of like, they're like, oh crap, got played, and then he got paid in Detroit. Or he got traded to Detroit. So I think he should be. Sheed, as much as I love Sheed, he doesn't really have the numbers. How many times was he All-Star?
4-time All-Star.
Yeah,
really
so
much.
I think Rasheed means a lot to some of for the culture, right? Because I think the real hoopers, like the diehard people, really kind of love Rasheed. They know Rasheed. And from all reports and from what I saw of Rasheed, he could have scored every time he wanted to. He just wasn't that kind of player. He was very unselfish, but he's a really good defender. Had no real flaws offensively again. His only thing was his attitude and his temper. His temper was like, it caused a problem sometimes. So he's not a Hall of Famer, but I think Ben Wallace is.
If Rasheed was like a model citizen and had a couple more All-Star teams, like I think of him as somebody like, and their games aren't similar, but I think of somebody like who's also a Blazer. I think of somebody like Zach Randolph, who was on the Jailblazers, who got kind of miscasted, got categorized a certain way, and then he goes to Memphis, and he's kind of a cult hero, great in the community, and I think his image changed a lot, and people saw him as a good guy. He got away from that. I think the opposite side of that, Rasheed kind of just had that negative image. He got suspended all the time. And also the numbers, like you said, don't back it up. He's about 14.5 and about 6.7 for his career.
Yeah, man. So he's
not enough.
As talented as he was, I think at his peak, you could see him go like toe-to-toe with – he went toe-to-toe with Tim Duncan sometimes, toe-to-toe with Kevin Garnett sometimes. But, like, he never sustained that level, and he would kind of float sometimes. And obviously the temper, he'd get distracted. He'd get pissed off, and it would hurt his team sometimes. And it sucked. You know what I mean? Because I love Sheed. But I don't care if he's a model citizen. If he just maintained a level of drive, right? He just sometimes you could see him kind of mentally check out and get wrapped up in other things in the game. And that was probably his downfall. But
he did contribute the ball don't lie to the culture, which is easily one of the greatest contributions anyone's made. So that's that
and playing and hooping in Air Force Ones. You know what I mean?
Did they give him did he actually have like a shoe, or was it because I feel like he might have had like his own Air Force One. I could be wrong about that, but because some of those guys in the 90s, 2000s like kind of had their own shoe, but like you didn't really like Gilbert Arenas had his own shoe, but like it wasn't as publicized. Like some guys did, but they just I don't know. It's not like today where like Kyrie has his own Nike package and they have their like Donovan Mitchell has his own like logo and stuff like. I don't know. You know what I mean, though? Like, some guys had shoes, but, like, you didn't really know it.
I don't think he had shoes. And if he did and we don't know it, then did he really have them? Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. And I did want to – we just mentioned him, but I do want to shout out Zach Randolph as another great Portland Trailblazer. He played there 6 years. You know what? He didn't make an all-star team as a Blazer, so I guess he's not in this conversation. But 16-7 for his Blazer career, that's certainly solid. But yeah, man, the Blazers are a fascinating team, just like the Hornets. Not a super old franchise, not a ton of winning, not a ton of all-time players that stayed 7, 10, 12 years. But it looks like we're in agreement that Dame is the GOAT, right?
Dame is the GOAT. The people have spoken and says Clyde is, so the people are wrong.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up, man. We'll definitely we'll throw out more of these polls. We obviously got 20 some odd more teams to go, so hopefully we'll get into some more debates. Any final thoughts about the Blazers or really anything that's that you're feeling on your mind?
No, man. Hope anybody listening hope it was a nice little distraction. Stay safe out there. Watch each other's back. And things will get better. We got between the coronavirus and then the unrest, everything sucks right now. But hopefully we brighten up the day and got you a little distracted.
All right, James, Snotty, I appreciate it as always for our GOAT talk about the Blazers. We'll be back soon. We'll throw that up on Twitter. I'm at the Flagrant_2. You're at Snotty Drippin'. Only difference between us is you got that little check mark, but we'll get there. We'll get there. A couple more retweets, and we'll be right there with you.
You can have mine if you want, bro. It's not a big deal.
I'm trying to crack 1,000 by the next couple months just to feel a little bit more legit. So we're getting there. We got like 780 or something, but yeah, I'll you know what I'll do? I'll try to fight somebody about who's the best Nick ever, and then they're gonna meet me in Stamford, Connecticut, and then maybe ESPN will pick it up.
And then we'll never hear from you ever again.
No, you won't. You actually won't. But James, sir, thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon, and yeah, stay tuned, sir.
All right, bro. We out.